Assalamu alaikum and welcome today as we walk you through the diverse and colourful people and culture of Australia. This program will highlight a range of facets within history, lifestyle, landmarks, places of interest, sport, food, cultural diversity and society, just to name a few. The first custodians of Australia are the Aboriginal people, who were thought to have arrived here by boat from Southeast Asia during the last ice age, at least 40,000 years ago. At the time of European discovery and settlement, up to 1 million Aboriginal people lived across the continent as hunters and gatherers. They were scattered in 300 clans and spoke 250 languages and 700 dialects. Each clan had a spiritual connection with a specific piece of land. However, they also travelled widely to trade, find water and seasonal produce for ritual and totemic gatherings. Thus, Australia is a product of a unique blend of established traditions and new influences, whereby the rest of Australia's people are migrants or descendants of migrants who have arrived in Australia from about 200 countries since Great Britain established the first European settlement at Sydney Cove in 1788. In 1945, Australia's population was around 7 million people and was mainly Anglo-Celtic. Since then, more than 6.5 million migrants, including 675,000 refugees, have settled in Australia, significantly broadening its social and cultural profile. The trigger for this large-scale migration program was the end of World War II. Arrangements were reached with Britain, some European countries, and with the International Refugee Organization to encourage migration, including people displaced by the war in Europe. One major example of this migration is the gold rushes of the 19th century and the lives of those who worked the goldfields, known as diggers. There is no doubt that the gold rushes had a huge effect on the Australian economy and our development as a nation. Australia is the only country in the world that is also a continent, and today Australia has a population of nearly 23 million people. Quite small in some regards for such a large land mass. At 2009, about 25% of the estimated resident population comprised those born overseas. All people in Australia are encouraged to learn English, which is the national language and an important unifying element of Australian society. However, languages other than English are also valued. In fact, more than 15% of Australians speak languages other than English at home. The most commonly spoken languages after English are Italian, Greek, Cantonese, Arabic, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. Australians speak more than 200 languages, including Indigenous Australian languages. While English is Australia's national language, there are certain words and expressions that have become regarded as uniquely Australian through common usage. Some of them might seem strange to non-Australians. The use of these colloquial or slang words, often coupled with an Australian sense of humour that is characterised by irony and irreverence, can sometimes cause confusion for international visitors. Some examples of these sayings are "G'day," which means hello or good day. "Ankle biter." This means a small child. "Aussie salute," known as brushing away flies with one's hand. "Throw a shrimp on the barbie." This is to cook a prawn on the barbecue. "Chocky," also known as chocolate. "Cut lunch," referring to sandwiches. Docket, known as a bill or receipt. Ear bashing, translated to nagging or annoying. Sunnies, short for sunglasses. And the list just goes on and on. Commonly, we hear that America is the land of opportunity. Yet we'll do a quick comparison between two other Western countries, i.e. Australia and the UK. If you lived in Australia rather than the UK, you would use 80% less electricity. You would earn 10% more money. You would have a close to 30% more chance at being employed. Australia's unemployment rate is 5.7%, while the UK's is 8%. And you would live 2.5 years longer. Australia's life expectancy at birth is 81.7 years, while in the UK it's 79.1 years. Predominantly, Australia is a Christian country, with around 64% identifying as Christians. However, most other religious faiths are also practiced, reflecting Australia's culturally diverse society. As we have no official state religion and people are free to practice any religion they choose, the Australian Ahmadiyya Jamaat supports a number of charitable causes, and the non-Ahmadiyya Australian public also attend a number of our religious and social events. Australia has a vibrant art scene that reflects both the nation's Indigenous cultural traditions and its rich mosaic of migrant cultures. All forms of the visual and performing arts have strong followings, including film, art, theatre, dance, and music. According to one survey, almost 88% of adult Australians attend at least one cultural event or performance every year. The most popular art form is film, attended by about 70% of the population each year. One such popular art event is the Vivid Light Festival. It is a prominent outdoor annual cultural event featuring immersive light installations and projections. The event is held annually during the winter over the course of 3 weeks in May and June. The centrepiece of Vivid Sydney is the multimedia interactive light sculptures and building projections that transform the various buildings and landmarks in and around the Sydney CBD and Sydney Harbour into an outdoor nighttime canvas of art. The Rocks is a small town, yet a very prominent part of Australian history, and became established shortly after the colony's formation in 1788. The original buildings were made mostly of local sandstone, from which the area derives its name. From the earliest history of the settlement, the area had a reputation as a slum, often frequented by visiting sailors. Every Saturday and Sunday, the Rocks markets feature a range of food choices, as well as more than 200 stalls showcasing designer and unique products. You'll find fashion items and accessories by emerging designers and quality, locally produced products from homewares, linen, beauty and well-being to photography, art and jewellery. Located on one of the world's most spectacular sites on the edge of Sydney Harbour, the Museum of Contemporary Art opened its doors to the public in November 1991. Established through a bequest by Australian expatriate artist John Power, who left his personal fortune to the University of Sydney to inform and educate Australians about international contemporary visual art. In 2001, the New South Wales Government and the Australian Council replaced the University of Sydney and the Power bequest as key stakeholders. Around the globe, Australians are lovingly referred to as Aussies, and Aussies love their sport, both playing it and watching it. The most watched sports in Australia include rugby league, rugby union, and cricket. The Australian Open, held in Melbourne, is one of tennis's 4 Grand Slam events. Australia has more than 120 national sporting organisations and thousands of state and local bodies for such a small population. 2 of Australia's most internationally renowned sporting grounds are the Sydney Cricket Ground and the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Bodyline series, also known as fast leg theory bowling, which was a cricketing tactic devised by the English cricket team for their 1932-33 Ashes Tour of Australia, specifically to combat the extraordinary batting skill of Australia's Sir Donald Bradman. A bodyline delivery was one where the cricket ball was bowled towards the body of the batsman on the line of the leg stump, in the hope of creating leg side deflections that could be caught by one of several fielders in the quadrant of the field behind square leg. Only 9.1% of Australia's population are considered obese, with a BMI greater than 29, compared to countries like the UK, Mexico, and the US, who have obesity rates of 23%, 24%, and 30% respectively. Australia isn't in the top 5 of the least obese countries in the world, but it is number 6, behind Japan, Korea, Switzerland, Norway, and Italy. The least obese nation is Japan, with only 3.2% of its residents with a BMI of 30 or greater. Australian farmers and graziers own over 135,000 farms, covering some 61% of Australia's landmass. Across the country, there is a mix of irrigation and dryland farming. The major issue facing Australian agriculture is drought, as a shortage of water causes low soil fertility. Aquaculture products such as farmed Atlantic salmon and southern bluefin tuna are now available, as well as the great range of seafood that comes from the ocean surrounding Australia, including Moreton Bay bugs, banana prawns, barramundi, and oysters. Australians enjoy a huge range of food in restaurants and homes, reflecting the country's cultural diversity. Southern Europe has combined with Asia and the Pacific for new flavours and tastes. Italian, Chinese, Indonesian, Japanese, Greek, Thai, Malay, French, and Vietnamese restaurants are common, particularly in the capital cities. Middle Eastern flavours are also rapidly emerging, with Moroccan and Lebanese flavours being used with local ingredients in mainstream cooking with notable success. Some of the most obvious Australian landmarks include the Sydney Harbour Bridge and Opera House. But in addition to these, there are several world-renowned tourist destinations here which we'll journey you through now. Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest reef system. It has over 900 islands, stretching for over 2,600 kilometres, and is made up of over 2,900 individual reefs, and comprises of 30 different species of whales, dolphins, and porpoises. The Great Barrier Reef also has 6 different species of sea turtles, 215 species of birds, 17 species of sea snakes, and over 1,500 species of fish. Bondi Beach is about 1 kilometre long and receives many overseas visitors throughout the year. The south end of the beach is generally reserved for surfboard riding. Yellow and red flags define safe swimming areas, and visitors are advised to swim between them. There is an underwater shark net shared during the summer months with other beaches along the southern part of the coast. Pods of whales and dolphins have been sighted in the bay during the months of migration. Fairy penguins, while uncommon, are sometimes also seen swimming close to the shore or amongst surfers in the southern lineup. The Three Sisters are a rock formation in the Blue Mountains near the town of Katoomba, which is about 100 kilometres from Sydney. The sisters were formed by land erosion, whereby the soft sandstone in the area is easily eroded over time by wind, rain, rivers, causing the cliffs around the valley to be slowly broken up and create what we can now see as the Three Sisters Formation. The 12 Apostles is a collection of limestone stacks off the shore of the Port Campbell National Park by the Great Ocean Road in Victoria. Their proximity to one another has made the site a popular tourist attraction. As with most rocky formations, the Apostles were formed by erosion. The harsh weather conditions from the Southern Ocean gradually eroded the soft limestone to form caves in the cliffs, which then became arches, which in turn collapsed, leaving rock stacks up to 45 metres high. The formation eventually became known as the 12 Apostles, despite only ever having 9 stacks. The stacks are susceptible to further erosion from the waves. In fact, on the 3rd of July in 2005, a 50-metre tall stack collapsed, leaving 8 remaining. The rate of erosion at the base of the limestone pillars is approximately 2 centimetres per year. Due to wave action eroding the cliff face, existing headlands are expected to become new limestone stacks in the future. We hope that you've enjoyed the program and are now well versed with Australia, its people and culture, our most popular landmarks, and you have some common Aussie sayings to test out at home. We look forward to bringing you another program from Down Under in the near future. Assalamu alaikum.